Hello Booktube, hello friends, welcome to LizziefayeLovesBooks. I'm Elizabeth, and I decided that this year I would do the mid-year freakout tag. Now I don't think I've ever done this tag before. I wasn't tagged to do it as far as I know, at least not this year, and I don't even really like the title. I think because I don't really freak out about what I've read or haven't read, and I don't know. I just have never done this tag, but I've seen quite a few booktubers do it this year and in previous years, and I really do like the questions. So I just got in the mood to film this tag, and here goes. So I will put the creators of the tag in the description below. I don't think either of them have a recent version of this tag. The most recent one I could find was from 2016, but I will still list them below because it's always nice to give credit where credit is due. Question number 1 is, what is the best book you have read so far this year? Now, if you had asked me this question last year or year before, I could have told you very early in the year what my favorite books were going to be because I happen to have read them early in the year. This year, I don't think I've read my favorite book yet. I will tell you a couple of my favorites so far, but I don't think I've read my favorite book of the year so far this year. I did, however, just finish Where the Crawdads Sing by Delia Owens, and it's probably no surprise to a lot of you that I would pick this because a lot of people have loved this book. It is really, really hyped right now. It's a Reese Witherspoon book club pick, and if you search any library in the country right now, it is probably one of the most requested books. I've heard people say they are in line for it and they have like 100 or more people in front of them. So it is a very big book right now, and for good reason. I thought it was a very good book, and I don't want to go into the reasons why on this video, but I did really, really enjoy it. I do also want to give honorable mention to my favorite middle grade book of the year so far, and that is Captain Superlative by J.S. Puller. This is one of our Sunshine State books for next school year, and it's just a wonderful feel-good book about friendships and doing good for other people, much in the same vein as The Summer I Saved the World in 65 Days, which I read a couple of years ago. It's by Michelle Weber Hurwitz, and if you've been following my channel for a while, then you've probably heard me talk about it because I absolutely loved that book. And this is a completely different story, but it's that type of feel-good book, at least for me, so I would definitely recommend it. Number 2 is the best sequel you've read so far this year. Well, again, I'm going to give you 2. On audio, I have been listening to the Cobbled Court series by Marie Bostwick. I think I actually did read the first 2 in print several years ago when my sister first recommended them to me, and then I read the third one maybe year before last, and I recently received a copy of the 4th book from a wonderful booktube friend. So thank you again, Colleen, for this. And I did go ahead and listen to this on audio, but I was super excited to have the print book in my hands. This was a really good story. It has a beginning premise similar to another book that I've read, although this one came out before the book I'm thinking of. Anyway, it's about 2 women who were friends in elementary school, middle school, and then they became estranged. One of them has stayed in her hometown her whole life, and the other one has been out into the world, married, and her husband has recently been arrested for some kind of illegal dealings. So all of their property was seized, and the only thing she has to her name is her childhood home, which is in her hometown. She has not been there for many years, and so she comes back there and decides to take this old house and make it into an inn. And it is just a wonderful story of these 2 friends becoming friends again and getting over their past hurts, and there are other women involved, and it's just a really good story of friendships, and I thought it was really a wonderful book. And then I'd also like to tell you about Vanished by James Ponti. This is book 2 in the Toast mystery series, or now the name of the series has been changed to Framed, which doesn't make sense, but anyway. This is a series by James Ponti about 2 friends who are very observant. They use a system called Toast, which is the theory of all small things, and they use that strategy to help them see the small things, the small details, which help solve mysteries. And they're being utilized by the FBI to help solve cases. So it's a really good series. I've only read 2 so far. There is a 3rd one out, and I am excited to get to it. I hope there's going to be a lot more because it's really a good series. Number 3 is a new release you haven't read yet but want to. I've got 2 of those. The first one that comes to mind is the newest in the Hannah Swenson Baking Mysteries by Joanne Fluke. I would have read this for March Mystery Madness if I could have gotten my hands on an audio copy soon enough. I still have not gotten my hands on an audio copy. Our library, for some reason, does not have it yet on audio. I even mentioned it to my librarian a couple of months ago, and she wasn't able to get it at that time. So hopefully it will come soon, or I might have to read it in print. I don't know. But I don't want to get behind on this series. This is really the only cozy mystery series of any length that I'm completely caught up with, except for this newest book. So I really want to get to it. And then I want to mention one other book. I've already shown it in a video earlier this year. It's by an author who was one of my original collected authors that I haven't read, and I have since read 3 or 4 of her books now, and this is her latest. It's got a great title. The author is Lorna Landvik, and the book is Chronicles of a Radical Hag. This has something to do with a newspaper column. It's written sort of like an epistolary novel, but it's got some journal entries and some newspaper columns and things like that. This really looks intriguing and fun, and I absolutely love the title. So I definitely want to get to this. I checked it out pretty soon after it came out, and I wasn't able to get it read at that point. I mainly checked it out this time so I could show it to you. And I don't know, I might decide to go ahead and read it this summer, but I definitely want to get to it this year. The next question is, what is your most anticipated release for the second half of the year? Well, I wouldn't have even known about this book if I hadn't seen it on my library catalog. Earlier this year, I discovered a tab on my library catalog that links you to the pre-pub titles that the library has already pre-ordered. And so ever since I found it, I try to go on there at least once a month and scroll through, and invariably I end up finding 1 or 2 books that I'm interested in. In fact, that was how I found out about Chronicles of a Radical Hag. So I went on there recently, and I stumbled across a new Elm Creek Quilts novel by Jennifer Shiverini. Now, I wasn't sure she was even going to write any more Elm Creek Quilts novels. I am almost caught up with that series. I have book 20 still left to read, and I plan on getting to it this summer. And I didn't know that there were some short stories and companion books and things like that, because they're not listed on Goodreads so that they link up with the rest of the series. And that's why I didn't even know about this new one, because I went back and looked. I clicked on one of the Elm Creek Quilts books, and then I clicked on the shaded series title, and all of the current books came up, but this new book didn't come up. So I clicked on her author name so that I could get all of her books. And lo and behold, not only is there a new full-length novel coming out, there are some short stories and companion books that are supposed to be a part of the series, and they're not linked on Goodreads so that they come up when you search that series. So if there's a Goodreads librarian out there who's watching this, please fix that. I would love that, because I rely on that when I am looking to find, you know, all of the books in a series that I want to read. So this new book is a Christmas book, and I will show you a picture of it. I am super excited about it, and I hope there's going to be a lot more Elm Creek Quilts books, because I love that series. Question number 5 is, what is your biggest disappointment of the year so far? Definitely it's Vox by Christina Dalker. This was just not the book for me, and I love a good dystopian. I was a big fan of The Handmaid's Tale. I read that many years ago. I love The Giver, Hunger Games, all kinds of dystopian books, with the exception of Brave New World. I don't like it either. Vox was just not a book for me, and I really wanted to like it. The next question is, what was your biggest surprise? And I would have to say Scythe by Neil Shusterman. I'd been hearing about that for a while, and I was pretty sure that I was going to like it, but I didn't know that I would enjoy it as much as I did. The reason I picked it up when I did was because my husband was reading it, because several of his coworkers had been reading it, and he went right on and read book 2. I have not read book 2 yet, Thunderhead, but I do plan to get to it. I really enjoyed it, and I didn't have any idea that I would enjoy a book about death quite as much as I did, and it was definitely a big surprise. The next question is, who is a new favorite author for you? Now, neither of these are new authors, but they are new to me, and both of these books were sent to me by Waterbrook and Multnomah, and now they have become authors that I definitely want to read more of. One of them is Karen Barnett, who writes the Vintage National Park series. I listened to the first 2 of these on audio, and I just started this 3rd book, and I have loved everything I have read so far. Can't wait to dig deep into this one. It is a Christian adventure series with a little bit of romance, and I really am looking forward to seeing what else I can read from this author. The other one is Robin Jones Gunn. She's a very prolific author, but I had not up to this point read anything by her until I read Becoming Us, and this was a fantastic book. I really want to read more by her. I've got 1 or 2 standalone books by her on my shelves, but she also wrote the Sister Chick series and the Christy Miller YA series, so she is definitely an author that I want to read more of, and I'm really excited that I found her. The next question is, who is your newest fictional crush? Well, I don't have any yet for this year, and I rarely get those at all, but I will have to admit that last year when I read A Gentleman in Moscow by Amor Towles, I did get a little bit of a crush on Count Rostov. He was very delightful and such a wonderful main character. Now, I think prior to that, I don't know if I'd had a fictional crush on anyone since maybe Nancy Drew's boyfriend Ned, maybe. I don't know. It's not something that happens very often for me in books, so I don't have a new one for this year. The next question is, who is your newest favorite character? This is a hard one. The one that comes to mind, though, is one that I've actually already mentioned in videos, and I hesitate to say this one because I really don't read much in the way of supernatural, but I'm going to say Geneva. She's the ghost from the Haunted Yarn Shop mystery series by Molly McRae. She's just so temperamental and fun, and that's who comes to mind. So I've read a lot of really wonderful characters this year, but I think Geneva stands out. The next question is, what book made you cry? And I don't know if any books have actually made me cry, but I did get a lot of emotional response from My Mother's Quilts by Ramona Richards. That was a devotional book that I read in March and April, and then I passed it on to my sister because I wanted her to enjoy it as much as I did. It was really a wonderful book. My sister quilts, our mother made quilts, and I could relate to a lot of the things in this book, and it just gave me a lot of melancholy feelings as well as sweet memories to think about, so I'm going to go with that book. The next question is, what is a book that made you happy? And I'm going to go ahead and say Becoming Us by Robin Jones Gunn. This was really a feel-good book about friendships and relationships. Also, the main family group in this book experienced a lot of growth, and it was just a really good book, and it made me happy. The next one is, what is your favorite book-to-movie adaptation that you've seen this year? And I don't even know if I've been to the movie theater this year. Maybe once. I can't remember. But 2 come to mind, and they're both older, more classic type books. These are books that I read this year and then watched the movie. Both of the movies were movies I had seen before, but I had not read the books. So the first one was Emma. I listened to Emma on audio. It was the first time I had read it. And I watched the movie Clueless. I had seen Clueless several times before, but it had been a long time. And it wasn't as good as I remembered it when I was younger. Maybe it's just because I'm older now. I don't know. But it's still a cute movie, but I didn't love it as much as I used to. Then the second one was True Grit. I had never read it before. I listened to it on audio. It was narrated by Donna Tartt, and I believe that it had not ever been put on audio before. And apparently Donna Tartt has been a huge fan of True Grit for many years and wanted to narrate it, and she did a great job. So I watched the original John Wayne version. Actually, we didn't quite finish it. I had to end up taking it back to the library, but I realized that I had seen it before, and it was fun to even watch a portion of it. I do also want to go back and watch the newer version of True Grit. I've never seen it. I wanted to read the book first, and so now that I have, I need to watch that movie. Question number 13 is your favorite review that you've written this year, or since it's BookTube, what is your favorite video you've done this year? And I'm going to do one of each. My favorite video that I've done this year was early in the year, and it was my Jan Karen video. I had wanted to do a video about all of Jan Karen's books for quite a while. She writes my favorite series of all time, which is the Mitford series, and she's absolutely a fantastic author. I really love all of her books. So I did a video mainly about the series and the reading order because there is a little confusion about that, and I just talked about all of her books and why I love them so much, and that has definitely been my favorite video so far this year. So my favorite review this year has been about one of my least favorite books. In fact, I already mentioned it as being my biggest disappointment, and that is Vox by Christina Dalker. Now the reason I like my review of it is because in the book, women were only allowed to speak 100 words per day. And so I wrote my review in exactly 100 words. So if you want to read it, you're more than welcome to. I always link my Goodreads page down below. And if you want to comment about the review, if you like it or don't like it or whatever, then that would be awesome. I would love for you to go and read that and see what you think. The next question is, what is the most beautiful book you have bought this year? Well, I just recently ordered it. It has not come in yet, but I have a library copy, and the book is Maud by Melanie J. Fishbane. I have already started reading this library copy because I convinced my librarians to please order it. No library in our county had a copy of it, and I just really thought that somebody ought to have one. And so I asked them to order it, and they did, and I have already started reading it. But meanwhile, I received a Barnes & Noble gift card, and I decided to go ahead and order my own copy. So I've got one on the way. It's a beautiful book with this beautiful floral design and the fuchsia colored writing. It's just absolutely a stunning book. It is about the young life of Lucy Maud Montgomery, who is the author of Anne of Green Gables and many other wonderful books, and I will be super excited to have this on my shelf. And then the last question is, what books do you hope to read by the end of the year? Well, as I heard someone else say, all of them. I want to read them all. But I did narrow it down to a few of my most important ones. Other than the ones I am currently reading, I really need to get caught up on some series that are very important to me. I am behind on the Miss Julia series. This is the next one I need to read, called Miss Julia's Marvelous Makeover. I have been holding this book up for 2 years, not getting it read. I think my problem with this is that I got spoiled, and the first several books from this series I listened to on audio, and then for whatever reason my library stopped getting them on audio. So these last 5 or 6 that I haven't read, it's because I just keep letting other books get in the way, and I need to just sit down and read these already. I really have to say Miss Julia is my second favorite series of all time. She's so awesome, and I can't keep saying that if I'm not going to get the series read. So this is a definite must. I need to read this one and all of the others that I have not read yet. And then I have 2 series that I announced as read-alongs that I have gotten so far behind on, it's not even funny. One of them is the Cape Light series by Thomas Kincaid and Catherine Spencer. This is book 2, Home Song. If I don't get this read this summer, you guys have permission to unsubscribe. No, don't do that. So I really need to get books 2, 3, and 4 read before the Christmas season and get back on track with this read-along. And for those of you who said you were going to read these with me, my apologies. We will get these read, and I really enjoyed the first book. So again, I don't know why it's taken me so long, except for the fact that I don't think these books have ever been recorded on audio, and I wish they would. Because so far, if the first book is any indication, it's a really good series, and I really am looking forward to getting into it. The other series is the Home to Heather Creek series. I've read 2 of those and really need to get back to those as well. I didn't bring an example in here, but it's a series published by Guidepost, and I have really enjoyed what I've read so far. And then the last one that I brought in here that I definitely need to get caught up with is the Stranger World series by Jack Kessel. Jack Kessel is an old co-worker friend of mine. He lives in another state now, but he has been writing this really cool, creepy series, and I've read the first 2. I have the 3rd one on my Kindle all ready to go, and the 4th one I believe is coming out soon. I really enjoyed the first 2 and really need to get caught up so that I am ready to read each new one as it comes out. I believe this is going to be a 10-book series. So those are the questions for the mid-year freakout tag. I would love to hear your answers to the questions. I will list a few people down below that I am tagging, but even if I don't list you and you haven't done this tag yet and you want to, then by all means you should. And for those of you who have already done the tag, I have been watching your videos and enjoying them. And that's all I have for this video. I hope you are having a great day. Read a good book, and God bless you.